Welcome to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. If you're on a mission to be more frugal with both your time and money, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we talk about topics that help enhance living a frugal lifestyle. The goal is to save time and money where we can so that we can use the rest on what matters most to us. We talk a lot about both time and money management so that we can waste as little as possible on both. We do this while also embracing a progress over perfection mindset. If that sounds good to you, then please stick around for the latest episode right after a few quick words from our sponsor. Hi everyone, welcome back to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. For today's episode, I was just going to do just a quick little talk about progress over perfection because I thought of an example while I was cleaning my bathroom. And it might be kind of silly, but I just thought it made like a really good example of how focusing on perfection over progress can really prohibit you from kind of having a better overall outcome because of the fact that you're focusing on perfection on any given thing. So what made me think of this is, so I'm hosting Easter at my house, which is tomorrow when I'm recording this. I'm recording this on Saturday. And I'm trying to get the house ready for company coming tomorrow. And you know how it is, like when you have company coming, suddenly all these things that you thought looked pretty good, you're like, oh, I really need to get this house together a little bit better for the family coming over. So I was in the bathroom cleaning and I was cleaning, we have like a really big mirror over our sink and I was cleaning the mirror. And my daughters somehow get, I think it's mascara. I'm assuming it's like they get this black like lines on the mirror, and I can't even imagine how. I don't know if they're like reaching their arm out and accidentally like brushing the mirror with mascara, or if they're looking so close that they're hitting it. I'm not really sure because I don't really generally wear makeup unless we're like going to like an event or something like that. But they always get this stuff on, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get off the mirror. So I was cleaning the bathroom and I'm like cleaning the mirror and I'm like scrubbing this one spot. It's just like a little tiny spot that had some of that mascara stuff that I'm assuming it's mascara on the mirror, and I'm scrubbing it and scrubbing it and scrubbing it, and I'm taking my nail and I'm scraping it and then like taking the rag and scrubbing it more and wetting. I use like microfiber cloths to do the mirror, so like then I'm like wetting another microfiber and I'm going over it and I'm scrubbing it and scrubbing it, and then I take the dry one and I'm scrubbing it, and I'm going crazy like to try and get this little spot off of the mirror. And it just made me think of like progress over perfection, because to me it was just such a perfect example, because I was thinking of the amount of time that you could spend doing little things like that in the grand scheme of things are going to have like no impact on how my house could look for this event, like for having the family over for Easter. It's like if I spend like an enormous amount of time on those little tiny things that probably no one's even going to notice, I'm going to miss getting the bulk of the big things done that I need to do, sweeping the floors and mopping the floors and decorating, and just kind of just like more like the big picture things that need to get done could potentially not be done because I could run out of time by focusing on these little tiny things that no one's going to notice if everything else is a disaster. So like obviously everything else isn't going to be a disaster because it's not a disaster to begin with. But would I rather have like an overall clean bathroom, or would I rather have this one spot completely gone? So just kind of thinking of it that way, I really just was like, this is a perfect example of progress over perfection, because we can spend so much time on these little tiny things and maybe we get that little tiny thing perfect, but was that little tiny thing really that important, given that it took away time from getting other things done that would be great to have done? You know, some other examples might be like something I could think of too is, say if you're doing like your banking, or updating your budget, or updating, I always call it like updating my checking. That's like when I update, I reconcile my checking account and I download my credit card activity and things like that. And I just make sure everything like ties out. And it's like there's been times where I'm off by like $1 or $10, and it's not that I don't know. I obviously spent the money because I go through every single charge and I see and I know it's legitimate stuff. So I'm not just like, oh, well, it's just $10, move on. But sometimes if I'm not tying out, I know it's just because, or like, I don't know, tying out. Does everyone say that? I'm in finance, like in real life, in my work, and we always call it tying out. I don't know if that's a normal term that everybody uses, reconciling it, whatever. When something doesn't add up, and I'll sometimes like sit there searching, like, why am I off by this $10? Why am I off by this $10? Well, is it really worth my time sitting here searching and searching when I know it's something I spent? I just accidentally didn't put it on my spreadsheet or put it in my file, and that's why it's not matching, because I already looked through all the transactions and I know everything matched up. So it's kind of like that, you know, is it worth the time you're going to sit there and search for $10 that you know that you actually did spend? You just didn't mark it down somehow for some reason. So it's kind of that mindset of just thinking about, like, is getting this one little thing to perfection worth what I'm giving up for everything else? So I just wanted to share that. I have a really busy weekend this weekend, and trying to really help practice that for myself, because I just have a lot to do to prepare for Easter. And we colored eggs last night, so that took some time. It was really fun. But yes, my kids are 17, 20, and 22, and we still do color eggs. We do it every year. It's just something fun to do. Last year I actually had them do ceramic eggs that I found somewhere. I don't know if I got them at Target or where I got them, but it was actually a really cute idea. It was like little ceramic eggs that you paint with, like, it came with like a little paint kit and then little ceramic eggs, and I put them out as decorations this year. So anyway, just throwing that out there. If you have kids, that was a neat idea to have them do the ceramic eggs, because then you could keep them and use them as like Easter decorations if you celebrate Easter. But I was struggling for time this week, and even just like right now with me recording this podcast, I was stressing out over, like, how am I going to get the podcast done? I had an idea of what I wanted to do for the episode, but I didn't get to finish my notes because I've been trying to get ready for Easter and trying to enjoy it somewhat too. Like, I want to enjoy the preparation, and I decorated and things like that. And I didn't want to just be stressing out this whole weekend as I prepare for having the family over for Easter on Sunday, and having to do the podcast notes for what I wanted to talk about today would have definitely added to that stress, because I was like, that's one more thing I have to do. I'm also going to look at a table today, so I was like, I gotta do that. We did eggs last night. I gotta clean. I have to bring up like tables and chairs and things like that, like for the family. You know, there's just like certain preparation that has to get done when you're having a big event. I have to bring up like the food trays and like the set up like the little sterno flames and all that kind of stuff. So there's just a lot of stuff I have to do, and I'm trying not to completely make myself running around like crazy. I want to enjoy my time. And I also wanted to get this podcast episode out, but I was like, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, okay, do I just get a podcast episode out and talk about what's on my mind right now, and then it's done and it's out? Or do I stress out and try and make myself get everything done and not enjoy this weekend, which I have a few days off, so I'd like to enjoy some of it too, and just put out something that is on my mind. It's just not what I was planning on talking about, and I don't have notes on it. I'm not going to do a blog post and everything like that like I normally do, but I could still get an episode out and then do the other one next week. So I just want to encourage you, you know, just kind of think about what you're losing by what you're accomplishing. Like with the little black dot on the mirror, like, what am I losing out on to accomplish getting this little tiny dot off? Is it worth it? There's always a trade-off. Whatever you are working on now, you mean you're not working on something else. So just make sure that what you're working on now is important to you and that it matters in the grand scheme of things. So, and just on a side note, that table that I'm going to get, this is more just like a personal thing, but the reason I'm going to get a table, I'm really hoping we get this table. It was on Facebook Marketplace, and it's really, really nice. Our kitchen table is like kind of a pretty cheap one. Like, we got it on Marketplace a few years ago for like $100, and the tables are, not the tables, the table itself is kind of fine, but like the chairs are in pretty rough shape. They look okay, but it's kind of scary to sit on some of them because they might like the leg might give out or something like that. So I was just like stressing out over that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like we cannot have like an Easter situation where someone's chair collapses under them while they're having Easter dinner. So I was like, we really need to get a table. We really, really should do this. And I just don't have the budget for a table right now. We just had to replace our whole heating and air conditioning system, which was a whole nother thing, and whatever. I was trying to figure out like what to do about this table, and I saw this one table on Facebook Marketplace that I just loved. Like, it was the absolute perfect table for my kitchen. I was just like, this is like amazing. Like, I can't even believe this. And I didn't realize that it didn't come with the chairs, because they usually say like does not include chairs. Like, it's usually pretty clear, but this one didn't specify either way, and it was pictured with the chairs. And I reached out to the lady, and she said it was still available. And I was just like so excited we were going to go see it. And then the more I was looking at I kept going back and looking at the ad because I was just really excited about the table, and I'm looking at it and like, it doesn't mention the chairs. Let me just send her a message and just make sure it mentions the chairs, that it includes the chairs. So I send her a message, and I'm like, I just want to make sure it includes the chairs. It doesn't say. And she's like, oh no, it doesn't include the chairs. Those are Pottery Barn chairs, and they're really, really pricey and whatever. They don't come with the table. So I was just like, oh, I knew this was too good to be true. Like, it just had to be too good to be true. The price for this table was just like unreal. And I was just so excited that I was going to be able to get this table for the price that they had it listed for, but it was too good to be true. So anyway, the next day I went on Facebook, and this other table and chairs, it specifically said and chairs, came up, and it was really, really nice too. It was more than what the table and what I thought chairs was, but it does include the chairs. So we're going to be going to see that this afternoon, and I'm really hoping I'm going to get that. So anyway, that's just one more thing I have to add to my to-do this weekend, but hopefully it will solve our problem of no one collapsing on their, well, not the person collapsing, but their chair collapsing on the floor while they eat their Easter dinner. So that was just a long tangent I went on to, but I'm just kind of doing like a little personal information, just what's going on in my life this weekend and why I'm kind of doing this little other type of episode, because I really just don't have the time this weekend to do my normal notes and make sure I'm covering the topic in the way I want to cover it for what I had planned to do. So I'll do that next weekend. But I hope you are all enjoying springtime, whether you celebrate Easter or not. I know a lot of people that have kids have spring break either last week or this week. So I hope you're enjoying this transition into the new season of spring. I know I am. I'm really looking forward to the warm weather. And so that's it. I think that's it for this week. You know what I did want to say? I hope it's not too late. Maybe I should read this one next week too, because I don't want to shortcut the person, but I did get another review, and it was really nice. It was about the meal plan episodes, and I did want to share that. So I'll just do it real quick, because probably everyone hopefully is still listening at this point. I usually do them at the beginning of the episodes. But anyway, I was checking, like I said, I always check my Apple Podcast app and search for my podcast and see if there's any new reviews. And I just got one, and it was left by Abby B10. And it was 5 stars, and it says, I really enjoyed listening to Lola's weekly meal plans. I've gotten some great ideas from hearing her plans for her own family. So thank you so much for leaving that. If you're listening today, I really, really appreciate it. It's funny because a large number of my meal plan, of my reviews talk about the meal plans. And it's just kind of interesting because that was never my idea for this podcast. That was just something that I kind of added in just for like a little extra, just something to do that might be a little bit of a benefit for someone, you know, just to kind of, like I always say, like to help motivate with your meal plan or get some ideas or things like that. So I just find it interesting that a lot of people actually enjoy those meal plan episodes, and it's just something that I happened to try one time, and then I really stuck with it, and it's just great. I'm happy that it's helping some people. So thank you so much for leaving that review. And so that's it for this week. So I will catch you back here next week. Thank you so much for listening. So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode. And don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Lola's Frugal Life. And you can find a blog post for most of my episodes and definitely all of my meal plan episodes at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.